Warning. This podcast may contain spoilers from whatever TV show or movie is mentioned. Please listen at your own discretion. Welcome to Viewers Anonymous.
Yo, what's going on? I am Scoots Bronson.
And I am S. Foster.
That's right, and you tuned into another episode of the Viewers Anonymous podcast where we give you our very own reviews and takes of movies and TV straight out of Hollywood. What's going on with you, my guy?
I am fantastic, my guy.
Okay.
Coming off a good weekend. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you can beat you know what I mean? That's always a good thing. Even though it was only about 7, but a win is a win.
It don't matter. I'm just glad my brother is at the house crying his wee little.
And then, you know what I'm saying? Then today, my boys go out there, put the hammer down on the Jaguars. So, good. It's a good weekend, man. I feel good, man. I mean, look, I already know. I mean, I'm trying to figure out how you gonna top my fantastic. You know what I'm saying? How are you today?
Oh man, let me tell you something. Fantabulous, first off. So, or as my OG Pop Loke say, clitorious. Well, first and foremost, you know what I'm saying? I went out, you know what I'm saying, did some extra hours for DoorDash yesterday. End up getting a free bottle of tequila.
Oh, that's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? Can't be mad at that, you know. And then yesterday, you know what I'm saying, Ohio State go in, you know what I'm saying, do what they supposed to do this time against Michigan State. You know what I'm saying, put the hammer down, put the foot down on their neck, you know what I'm saying, and get them boys up out of here. And then last but not least, man, you know, today of all days, you know, my Cleveland Browns, you know, edged it out, man, against the Baltimore Ravens, man. Now we only sitting, you know what I'm saying, a game behind them. Really, I guess they say half a game behind them because of the bye week or whatever. But I say a game behind them. It ain't technically no half a game. You can't play half a game, so I say a game behind them. You know what I'm saying? We only a game behind. As long as they doing their thing until they bye week or whatever. They got a late bye week, so you know what I'm saying, they kind of got an edge on everybody else for right now. But until then, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be pretty good. Pretty good. And I ain't complaining.
That's what's up, man. Ain't mad at it at all.
So goodness gracious. Whew, I'm so excited about, you know what I'm saying, that win, man. Because let me tell you something. First and foremost, I know how the Browns play against Baltimore and Pittsburgh. We lay it down. You know what I'm saying? We lay down like a free hooker. You know what I'm saying? We just out here to give it all away for nothing. And today, man, they really stood on their 10 toes and they was like, nah, this can't be the one. They fought back, which is, I'm super excited because, you know what I'm saying, we sitting in third place behind Pittsburgh because Pittsburgh, you know what I'm saying, beat us. But if we can go in here and we can get Pittsburgh next week, we got a chance to get second place. And if Pittsburgh can lose, if Baltimore can lose to Cincinnati next week, we got a chance to get first place. So, hey, man, I'm I'm ready. You know what I'm saying? I'm ready, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm super excited about that. So hopefully, you know what I'm saying, everything play it like it's supposed to play it. But until then, you know, well wishing, man. So listen, we got a very interesting episode for you guys today. But before we get to that, we have to get into a very, very important segment. I'm sorry. Very, very important segment that we like to call What We Watching, where we give you, you know what I'm saying, extra tidbits of movies and television shows that you can catch outside of the episodes that we do. So, you ready to do this, man?
Yes, sir.
Let's get it.
What we watching?
All right, man. So what you got this week?
All right, man. So I'm gonna make this short and sweet because we got one today, and it's gonna take a while. So
Mhm.
so the first one I got, I actually had it a couple of weeks ago, and I didn't have. That was the episode where we kept having the technical difficulties, so I didn't have
Mhm.
my other thing that I needed. So it's a Netflix movie, Jennifer Lawrence, No Hard Feelings. I remember going into it, our people were saying that like this was one of her best comedic performances. They was like she went all out, literally with ass and titties out in this movie. But I just thought that it was a wild concept for a movie where, you know what I'm saying, this rich family just put an ad basically out for someone to basically get their son some skins so he would, you know, warm up to college, you know, all this type of stuff. And so she comes in 30 something years old with this 19-year-old kid. And so I thought it was funny, but like literally, like there was a scene where some like she went skinny dipping with the boy, and then somebody stole their clothes, and then she went up there, ran up there, ass naked, titties swinging, coochie out, and beat up three teenagers to get the
What
clothes
is
back.
this again? I'm asking for research purposes.
This is No Hard Feelings on
Okay.
Netflix.
Okay.
But it's like a comedic movie. I mean, it was like, but you know, a comedic kind of turned into a romance type of thing. But it was like it wasn't what the how funny people were saying it was. I don't think it was that funny, but it was
Mhm.
funny. All right, so the other thing that I got is actually in theaters and it's on Peacock currently. Me and my youngest boy Jacoby, we watched it together, and that is Five Nights at Freddy's. Um, I thought it was cool. Like I went in it blind. I didn't know it was a video game. My son knew about it. He knew all the characters and all this stuff. So I just watched it just to watch it. I thought it was cool. I mean, it wasn't like super scary, but I don't think anything really new that's coming out is like super scary. I will give a nod to one of your what we watched either a week or 2 weeks ago with that Nun too. They they
Mhm.
um they did really good with that one. So, but Five Nights at Freddy's, it was cool though. You know what I'm saying? Even though the twist was kind of predictable, um, because you kind of knew with some odd stuff going on. So, it was alright though. So I got No Hard Feelings on Netflix, and I got Five Nights at Freddy's, which you can watch on Peacock.
Okay. Cool. 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 So for me, I also have Five Nights at Freddy's. Um, which I'm sure a lot of people out there have seen this movie. Um, but also, you know what I'm saying, outside of that one, I do have a movie called The Devil Conspiracy. Um,
Mhm.
it's on Hulu and it's about this cult who basically is trying to free the devil from his chains and from hell so he can come and rule the earth. And they basically steal the shroud of Jesus, which has Jesus's blood and DNA and stuff on there or whatever. Um and so they basically steal his blood to recreate a child in the image of Jesus, but with uh the vessel so the devil can come through and take the body over or whatever. Yeah, but it
Mhm.
don't work. So in the end, basically Jesus wins again. Uh yeah. But the archangel, damn, I couldn't get that out for nothing. The arch the archangel Michael is played by I forgot what that black dude's name is, but he is it's a great movie. He's played by two characters actually because he takes over the form of a human body. Um, but yeah, so it's a dope movie. Check it out. It's called The Devil Conspiracy. It's on Hulu. And then the other movie is I actually don't know where this is located. I believe you got to get it. You can only purchase it. However, I seen it on the bootleg. It's called Nefarious. And it's about a demon who has possessed a body but ended up getting locked up, so he's in like an interrogation and a lawyer or is interrogating him to see if he's going to help him out, but like they basically having like this big long ass conversation about the beginning of, you know what I'm saying, like mankind. The lawyer is an atheist, so he don't really necessarily believe in it. So they kind of get into his belief system and so on and so forth. But it's a pretty good movie. It's an interesting movie. It definitely caught my attention. So if you get a chance, it's called Nefarious. You gotta purchase it. I know it's on YouTube and Apple TV. You can definitely get it there, but outside of that, I don't know where else you can get it. But those are the two I got, or the three I got.
Okay, bet. Ain't mad at it.
Yeah, man. All right, so okay, hold on real quick because I gotta change the channel of this TV show because I just seen some shit that I'm not supposed to see.
Oh.
So just go ahead and break this down real quick. I'm about to change this real quick.
Okay. So the movie we got today is, and I'm gonna dress it up for y'all because this movie came out in 2007 and it's called Fracture. And how I came about this movie was this was a time. Now, for the people that are around my age, y'all understand this time. This is when Blockbuster was starting to go, you know what I'm saying, out of business or whatever, whatnot. You got Netflix coming into the world, you're getting DVDs shipped to your house and all of these type things. So you got Redbox coming, all the stuff that's really changing the world at this point. So Blockbuster started doing this whole thing where it would be like 2 for $20 and like 4 for $20 when it come to movies and stuff. So what I started doing was, well, I'm just gonna start buying these movies. So I started buying these movies 2 for 20, 4 for 20, and this is one of those movies that I bought. Never heard of the movie, but at this time I'm giving a lot of shots on stuff. Watched this movie and I was like, yo, this is one of the, I don't want to call it best, but top of the line writing of a movie that you can get.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
to put, you know what I'm saying, this cast is amazing, but Anthony Hopkins and Ryan Gosling, the whole little tug of war that they had, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But basically what this movie is about is, so Ted Crawford is I think he was an architect. I keep forgetting what he was. But so he notices that his wife is cheating on him, and so he shoots her, shot her in the face. She doesn't die. She falls into a coma. But the person that was cheating on, who she was cheating on with, was the guy that was a detective, and turned out he ended up being a person ahead of that case. He goes to trial. He wants to go against this prosecutor that's still working in the DA's office. But he's about to, you know what I'm saying, go on to work for like a firm or whatever because he has a 98% conviction rate. So he's killing it. He was told, yo, this is easy. We got a signed confession.
You still in here, bro? Okay, so we lost SDOT for a slight second, but so basically where he was leaving off at was that the DA they basically had a high conviction rate. They were pretty much putting any and everybody behind bars without any issues. Willie Beecham, he was pretty much on the brink of saying yes or no to accepting whether or not they were going to go through with everything. Ted Crawford was somebody who had went in with this plan. He basically told everybody, well, he basically told the judge that he didn't want any kind of representation, that he only wanted to represent himself because it was all a part of his plan. Willie kind of hesitated, but then he played up. Ted kind of played up to Willie's ego, which eventually made Willie say, "Okay, we're going to go ahead and take the case." Um, and then Willie and Ted just kind of basically from that point on had a back and forth, which Ted eventually told Willie that he liked him in front of everybody. He thought he was a good person, so the judge reiterated that. to Willie, sarcastically, and then eventually, um, they take everything to trial, where um, at first it kind of seemed weird, right? So you kind of see Ted kind of being a little lackadaisical, uh, not paying attention. He's kind of sitting back. He's kind of sketching some stuff out. He's flipping papers over super hard, so so the noise is loud um in the middle of Willie's examinations of the witnesses, and what I'm saying, or him speaking to the jury. And so you kind of get all of that. S dot is back, so let's go ahead. What's up, bro? You back?
Yes, my bad,
Okay,
my
so I
bad.
got to the point to where they started trial. You know what I'm saying? Where Willie and Ted are kind of going, like I said, back and forth. Ted is kind of being, what I'm saying, a little distracting with, what I'm saying, his sketches and flipping papers over and stuff like that. And kind of being lackadaisical about the information being, what I'm saying, said at the time, while Willie is trying to, either examine his witnesses or talk to the jury.
Yeah. And so, which I thought was really hilarious because he's sitting there tearing the paper and
Mhm.
I'm sorry. Like he don't even care. And he's acting like he knows no type of,
Right.
law terms and all this type of stuff. Because he's just waiting for that one detective to go up there so
Mhm.
he could blow the whole shit and say that it's a conflict of interest. Like
Mhm.
so they could throw out the confession, they could throw out
Yep.
really everything. Like arresting officer, like can't be the guy that's having a relationship,
Yep.
sexual
Conflict
relations
of
with the
interest.
person. Exactly. So he waited for that part, and so everybody's like, okay, well, we got the gun, and kind of find out like the gun never been fired. So it was the chess match that was played in this, but on top of that, you have a person who is like I said, is about to get with his new firm and they were mad at how it went down. So old girl had to beg them to keep him on, but she's like, yeah, but he's done with the case. And then he goes back in there and he takes the case back on.
Mhm.
And so that really pissed them off. So like he really like put his whole life on the line for this one case and just like how he was
Yeah.
able to even he I don't want to say built the relationship, but it was just the way he kind of like got this bond with this woman while she was in a damn
Well, they
coma.
did build a relationship because he was at the Thanksgiving with her.
No.
And
I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about the lady that was shot in the face. Cause
his you talking about Ted's wife?
yeah, because he kept going there, like sitting there with her and reading to her. Now, at first, he was reading to her to see if he can get her to come out the coma so she could be a witness.
Mhm.
But then, like after he lost, like he still went there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And just how he was, fighting with security and all that type stuff when they was getting ready to pull the plug because he had got a court order for them to, I guess, I can't remember exactly what the court order was for,
It was
but
for him to not be able to pull the plug at the time.
yeah,
It was
and
kind of like
so
a reverse restraining order. It was like a hold on the decision or whatever.
yeah,
Which I didn't understand how they was able to even do that, just off of the fact that first off he wasn't on the case anymore. He was already set free, and there was nothing else that could be done at that point. So when he gave him the court order, it was like it wouldn't have made a difference no way. He kind of just, I guess, did that like as a last, like, hoorah at this point, because it wasn't nothing that court order could have did anyway.
yeah, yeah. But it was. I think like how this movie was put together, how it was written, the people that they chose to put, I'm saying, even put in here, everybody was really like a perfect fit. And how he, and then for him to figure this out. But like, my whole thing was like the taunting.
Yeah.
Like Ted, like he knew how good Willie was.
Mm-hmm.
And there's two instances that I'm thinking of when it comes to the taunting. Like the one when he waited to that detective was up there and to say that he was having a relationship with her, and so they went in the chambers,
Mhm.
and so he was like basically like, I need to talk about my dick, and he was like my dick is my I'm private investigator, and he was like yeah, and my dick is good, and so I just thought that shit was hilarious of how he had put that stuff, because he was just really trying to be funny to Willie, by even putting it like that. So to do that was one part of taunting that he was doing with him. The other taunting was there was on two instances where he called Willie. He called him when he was at his office at his job. Like he knew that he was there, and he's like, "Yo, if you need anything, my assistant can get you whatever you need, all this type stuff." And so then he was in jail at the time when he called. Like he used his phone call to call his office and catch Willie there when he was actually there. And then the second time, third time, but the second time he called Willie, he was like talking about how he was, about to go on this trip, and like, she's not gonna be able to go because she's dead and all this type shit.
Mhm.
And that was the one part where he finally was able to put this shit together, because a huge part that I didn't mention. I mean, we just kind of like winging it because there's a lot of conversational shit to talk in here.
Right.
But like, so when Ted got off, what I'm saying, the detective, he was in love with that woman. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So he was hurt. And so he shot himself outside the courtroom.
Mhm.
So he shot himself outside the courtroom. And so then Willie is talking with the one cop, and the cop, he was he was sitting there. And so like I said, Ted called to taunt him or whatever. And the other cop put his phone down, come to find out they got the same Sprint phones. And so the other cop answered his phone, answers Willie's phone. It's like, yo, like it's for you or whatever. I picked up the wrong one. And that's when he saw, like, yo, these are the same guns.
Mhm.
It was like the reason he went to the hotel room in the first place, because they couldn't figure out. They had him on film at the same hotel that they were at, but they was like, why is he there? They was like,
Mhm.
the wife and dude is in the pool. They're like, why did he go into the room? We don't know why he went into the room. And that's when Willie finally figured it out. Like, yo, he switched the guns. And
Mhm.
then when the cop came to him, he switched the guns again. So the murder weapon is sat in the courtroom the whole time.
Yep.
I don't think people understand how wild this is. The gun that they had in evidence has never been shot before.
Mhm.
And so they're like, yo, he had to have two guns. Everybody like, yo, where's his other gun? We have no case without the gun. And they can't get the bullet out of the wife because she's still alive. She was still alive at the time. You got the murder weapon sitting in the courtroom through the whole trial. Yo, that was so genius
Yeah.
to what I've never heard or seen a movie do something like this before. And I just honestly think that, like, for this movie to come out in 2007 and for it to go under the radar the way that it did, it blows my mind, man. It blows my mind.
Well, let's stay on the gun being the main piece of evidence, right? And I thought
Mm-hmm.
that it was genius, not only just on the fact of that the gun is what really needed to be found, but I thought it was so genius because the gun was in Willie's reach for most of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was literally within his grasp for the most of the movie. If he would have hit that idea a little bit faster, then he could have instantly told that cop, "Hey, give me your gun. Let me see your gun." And and let me test it real quick because something just didn't sit right. You know what I'm saying? Something just wasn't right about this gun. Had he really paid attention to the details like he was being instructed to do from the get-go, he'd have known that this is the same gun that the officers carry around. So
Mhm.
obviously there's something about this gun, you know what I'm saying, and all of this stuff. But to me, like I said, it was just the fact that the gun was in his vicinity for most of this movie, and then to see at the end how Ted played so many games with him. I thought it was, you know what I'm saying, I thought this was everything that it was supposed to be. Um Ted's plan worked from the start. He knew exactly what to do. He knew how to do it. He knew when to do it. He knew when to make all of this shit, you know what I'm saying, work in his favor. And what ended up happening is in the end, you kind of see all of this shit end up coming together, you know what I'm saying? Like falling dominoes, you know what I'm saying? Like when the dominoes fall and then you see at the top view, you see it's they making a picture. This is pretty much what's going down. Like he's knocking down the dominoes and you can start to see this picture get created. He knew, like you said, he knew that Detective Nunnally was going to be there. He knew that once, and mind you, the way he played it off, I thought was genius too. Because he's sitting there, he like, oh yeah, I mean, you object? Nah, I don't object to nothing. Ain't nothing. I'm good. He like, you sure? Hey, I'm good. Go ahead, call your witness up there. Call the witness. He let him talk all that talk, and then he was like, yeah, except yeah, what do you call sleeping with the victim? That motherfucker was like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? But it goes to show you that at the time, because of the type of work that they do and everything else, you had somebody like Willie who was so used to having everything kind of laid out for him in advance. So when he's going in there, he's pretty much just knocking them down left and right. And that's, he's gonna win him because he already knows he has the evidence, he has everything he needs. It's not too much, what I'm saying, to be used. I think the genius of it was that he gave the appearance of that there was going to be evidence to use. There was going to be evidence, what I'm saying, to that he was going to be able to bring up, and he had a confession and so on and so forth. And then all of that got canceled because of his main witness. You know what I'm saying? The main
Yep.
witness is having an affair with the victim. And now it's a conflict of interest. So now you can't do anything. So it's like, oh man. So now, we find this out and everybody's like, yo, how the fuck do you not know this? How do you not have this conversation? How is this not something that comes up? And then, even when he said it, like when he talked to Detective Nunnally afterwards, and he was like, yeah, and this is what I got to ask you too, because I think Nunnally was lying. I really
Okay.
think he was lying about this. Do you think that Nunnally knew that she was married?
You've had to know if there's a situation where you're talking to a woman
Mm-hmm.
and you never can go to her house, you can only talk to her at certain times of the day, and y'all only meet up in hotel rooms. I mean, you kind of got to know she's married.
Come on, it's kind of obvious, right?
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
And
it's very obvious.
yeah, so it's like I think that he was like oblivious. I think he was just like blinded by the pussy. I think
Mm-hmm.
where you know what I'm saying the box was just so good, like he just was like whatever. But like I don't know. I mean, I think that Nunnally could have been a smart detective, but when it came to her or women or whatever, like he's just oblivious.
Because he was married himself. He had kids. He had a whole family. So
And that's
to me,
probably why he accepted it, because he's doing the same thing.
exactly. So to me, right, the when you talk about like the hotels and everything, the hotels didn't really throw me off because I'm like, okay, he got a family too. So it makes sense that he's in the hotels. But my thing is the talking to her, the contacting her, even texting her, anything like that. You can't really have a real relationship with her because you already have a relationship. But on the same time, y'all really can't really even kick it like that because y'all got to make sure everything is synced up. You know what I'm saying? So even if she's telling you like, oh nah, I'm single out here. I don't have a man or whatever the case may be, you still gotta hold shit for your own. You know what I'm saying? You can't just go out here. Plus, you a cop, so you know what I'm saying. You work a lot. It ain't like you just, you know what I'm saying. You a cop for 2-3 days out the week, and then you got the rest of the week to chill. Nah, my G, like you work some pretty strenuous hours. So you would have, to me, I felt like you would have to know, like she has either a boyfriend or a sugar daddy or something, a husband, anything as far as a significant other. She has something like that because how do you go from meeting this chick to where you don't see her none around no other time, but only the times where you know what I'm saying y'all about to get busy and do y'all thing, and then you don't have no other kind of communication with her or none of that stuff. You just, whenever it's time to get busy, that's when y'all link up. And it's I don't know, man. It, for me, it's a weird situation. I felt like he had to know a little something about who she was. Because he was even saying like he didn't know her name or he didn't have any information on her. He just thought that she was just some chick. And it's like, how do you, as a detective, you know what I'm saying, you taught to pay attention to certain things and do certain things. How do you not know anything about this woman or anything about what this woman brings to the table or what she's capable of or any of that? And no background, no nothing. He just kind of flied free with her. What I also thought was kind of odd too was the fact that in the beginning scene, it's a scene where they actually show Ted going through, you know what I'm saying, the room and watching them at the pool and you know what I'm saying, kind of setting everything up before he's going to commit this attempted murder. And what was interesting was you kind of seen what Nunnally may or may have not seen Ted go in the room, which to me it was a little bit weird because it's like, okay, you don't know if he's seen him or not. You don't know if he got caught or not. Nunnally is kind of just sitting there with his feet kicked up, you know what I'm saying, watching this girl swim back and forth in the pool. Um and then they move over to the actual attempted murder where Ted confronts her. He talks her, you know what I'm saying, he talks to her about everything, and then he shoots her. Um which to me, it was weird. The way that you see everything set up is kind of weird because you don't know what's going on at first. You just see Ted like picking up shell casings, wiping them off, setting them in a different spot. um you see him lastly pick up the gun, wipe the gun off, and you know what I'm saying, move around. He's shooting out the window or shooting at the window. He's not necessarily shooting it out, but he's shooting at one of the windows or like the windows above the door or something like that. He's shooting bullet holes in there. And he's kind of like setting up a scene. After a while, you kind of see what he's doing. He's setting up a scene of what's happening. Um and he's having like he's picking up the shell casings and moving them around. Um and it's a weird way to see, the beginning of the setup, you know what I'm saying, the initial the initial plan of the setup, you know what I'm saying, him actually putting this plan into action. This is what you're seeing in this scene when he's, you know what I'm saying, when he attempts to kill his wife. And you know what I'm saying, he's doing all of these things. He's not hesitating to do none of this. Like everything is working perfectly. And then once he gets there, he admits that he did it. He's talking to Officer Nunnally and everything else. And Nunnally sees her, and it's like, oh no, he realizes who she is and what's going on. And of course, he's going crazy. He's yelling, get help and everything else. But the one thing that struck me odd was none of the other officers found that odd. None of the other officers seen that and felt different about that. And that was weird to me, right? That was something that as a as somebody who's on duty, as somebody who's coming to, to the scene of a crime and to do my job, you have to be aware. And awareness is to me, I feel like a huge part of that job. And so the fact that they weren't aware enough to see kind of how emotional Nunnally was in that situation, it kind of struck me as odd, right? It kind of threw me off a little bit because why weren't they prepared, or why weren't they catching on to the fact that this may or may not have been somebody that he knew in that predicament, right? Not only that, you kind of see his reaction is real frantic, you know what I'm saying, as if he's lost a loved one, or a lover or something of that nature. And that's how he's responding. Nobody else kind of, noticed that or attacked that point or anything else like that. So I thought that that was super super weird, that nobody else kind of seen that in anything else like that. And I think because of the fact of the situation at hand, um Nunnally being there, I think that kind of confirmed for Ted everything that was going on. You know, Ted seeing everything that's happened, he kind of knew, okay, this guy is really in, saying they really do have some sort of chemistry going on here. And so yeah, he kind of played his hand to the fullest on that one. And to me, I think this is what makes this movie so great, is because it's you start to see um excuse me, you start to see the type of opponent that uh that Ted is going to be in this movie, right? And then not only that, you also see what type of opponent that Willie is. They set you up with Willie early on in the beginning by showing you, saying he's in court and he's doing his thing and he's a star, and they trying to sign him onto this firm and make sure that he gets in and gets in good. And then, the situation with Willie, um, he brings in, all of this stuff, but Willie knows that first and foremost, you have to attack you have to attack the ego. The ego is everything to these guys. The ego is what's going to either make them or break them in these scenarios. Um, and because you got a guy like that in there, um, doing certain things, like you know kind of egging them on and so on and so forth, you kind of see that at first it kind of messes with you because you think, okay, Willie is kind of out of his league. He doesn't necessarily know what he's dealing with or who he's dealing with for that matter. But after a while, you kind of see, saying once he's getting the guy on the stand and once he's getting the guy in there, they kind of doing their thing. And SDOT is now back with us. So okay, he's not with us anymore. So basically, like, what I'm saying, you seeing Willie, kind of give, what I'm saying, his shining his light basically. Until you see that, his ego and his pride and everything is really, really a big, big part of what he does. And you also see that in towards the end, once Willie loses the case, you see a lot of that in the end, with the other prosecutors and the other, what I'm saying, lawyers and so on and so forth. You kind of see them, uh like not caring about, like they don't really care about this case. Like when Willie ended up getting into this case, at first this was just a case he was either going to take or he wasn't. What ended up happening was he actually started to care about the victim of this case. What I'm saying? He really got into it. Like as I said, he was going to her hospital room and kind of sitting with her, hoping that she would wake up and eventually, you know what I'm saying, become a witness. But really, what ended up happening was she actually kind of woke up and well, she didn't wake up, I'm sorry. She actually kind of just became somebody that he was just really fighting for in the end. And I thought that was super, super interesting because what ended up happening was he kind of shed everything about him, right? It was no more, you know what I'm saying, ego. It was no more pride. It was more so, I have to do what's right for this woman. So when he's talking to Nikki and in the elevator, and he's like, yo, you know, she's you know, he's gonna put a plug on her and he's gonna let her die. Um, and Nikki's like, yo, what the fuck does that have to do with Wooten Morrison or whatever the fuck that they shit was called?
That was
Um,
cold.
yeah, that was super cool. Even when he's talking to the judge, and you know, he's trying to get the judge like, yo, like write me something, man, so I can stop this man from killing this woman. You know what I'm saying? He had to really like get into the judge's psyche in order for the judge to even write, you know what I'm saying, the court order. But just the fact that, you know, because he lost the case or lost this case, and because he lost that case, you know what I'm saying, his whole track record didn't mean nothing in the moment. It was that case that basically was going to make him or break him, and it broke him. It broke him down to nothingness. Um, all because of what Ted had already set up. Ted knew any and everything that was going on in this process already, and I thought that was very interesting to see Ted in this situation, having Ted, you know what I'm saying, do the work that he has done to put, you know what I'm saying, whoever was going to be on the opposite side of him in this situation. He knew that this was a clear-cut situation. He knew that once he stepped in, once he did everything, it was going to be clear cut and dry. This is what's going to happen. This is how it's going to happen. I'm going to get away scot-free. I'm not going to have to worry about anything, and then I can move on with my life. Um, and basically I can get away with murder. You know what I'm saying? Pun intended. That's pretty much everything that he was trying to do. He was really trying to get away with murder. And I thought that the genius of all of this was the fact that you had somebody who had access to all of these resources and all of these things, where he was able to teach himself how to technically do this. And um the crazy part about all of it is that what ended up happening was that Detective Nunley in the court case, he finds out that Ted gets free. Ted goes free, I'm sorry. He finds this out. The next thing you know, after he leaves, he kills himself. Um and this is where everything gets interesting, because on the way out of the court case, Ted kills himself. Um, I mean, not Ted, I'm sorry, Detective Nunley kills himself. Ted sees it, kind of shrugs his shoulders to Willie, like, you know, win some, lose some, and he kind of walks out. And I don't even think that was a part of Ted's plan. I think that was more so like a bonus. Like, yeah, like this motherfucker that pretty much slept with my wife, he had to kill himself because he knew what the fuck was gonna happen. But at the same time, it ended up becoming a detriment to Ted. As that, if you know what I'm saying, now that you're back, man, if you can, you know what I'm saying, let the people know exactly kind of what happened that kind of fucked Ted up in this situation.
Yeah, what fucked Ted up was the fact that he did kill himself, because if he would have stayed alive, stayed on the job, that gun would have always been active.
Absolutely.
But because he shot himself, now that gun goes in some kind of evidence locker or whatever. And so what he was able to figure out was, you know, that whole situation where the two phones was beside themselves. And he was like, yo, this is the thing. This is why he went into the hotel room, was to switch the guns. So really, when Ted was trying to be funny, it was like, yo, I was able to take both of them out with one single bullet. But at the same time, that other bullet backfired on you for the simple fact of, because like I said, that gun isn't active anymore. So it really, I'm guessing like at that time his pride was like pretty high. It was like, yo, I was able to take both of these mugs out. Like that's how he's thinking. That's how great my plan is. My plan
Right.
is so great that I was able to take two people out.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That was having sex with each other, that was quote unquote in love with each other. And like you said, like it came to his detriment because the gun wasn't active anymore. And so Willie was able to finally, get that one break that he needed. But like you said, if he would have, but I think it was so much going on that he never even thought to think that the two guns looked alike. I think that it was so, he was so focused on, he had to hide the gun somewhere else in the house. Like the gun got to be somewhere in his house. And, so then, he tried to go to his office, which it really didn't make sense to go to his office because he knew the gun couldn't have been there because the gardener said he never left the house.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think that he went in it half stepping because he was told. I mean, if you're told this information by a detective, you know what I'm saying? There's no reason for you not to roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
He told him, even the DA guy was like, yo, it's easy, open and shut case. We got the confession, we got the gun.
Mm-hmm.
Boom. All you gotta do is just go in there and just get another W, basically. You know what I'm saying? Get a plea agreement. And because he didn't know that there was a conflict, and then, like I was trying to say earlier, when I kept cutting out, was you brought up a good point, and I forgot that Nunnally was married.
Mm-hmm.
So he couldn't come out and say that he was having relations with this woman.
Exactly.
So now he made it obvious when he was on the stage, but at the same time, he was also pissed off too that now, not the whole world, I don't know how big this case would have been, but everybody, you won't stand. And this guy just says, I don't know the legal terms. And she's like, well, just say, what comes to mind. He was like, fucking the fucking the victim or whatever. And so now, like, his whole world is like shattered for real. So he comes out the stand and he goes and attacks this dude. But you don't see a lot in courtrooms where, you know what I'm saying, not only a person attacking somebody in the courtroom, but a person that's a detective that was the arresting officer go and attack the guy, you know what I'm saying, that's the plaintiff or whatever. So,
and you know what's interesting about that?
What?
It's when he's asked certain questions and he says that now when he goes, I didn't feel safe with him and his buddies. Now, you know what I'm saying, that gives credence to that whole statement. Because it's like, well, damn, if he jumped on him for that, you know what I'm saying, what else was he jumping on him for?
Exactly. It makes the confession look even worse.
Absolutely.
Because they was like, yeah, he was intimidating him to say or even sign a confession.
Mm-hmm.
Because there are situations where, people are forced into signing confessions, either from exhaustion, either from starvation, because they could do a lot of stuff with you. They could just leave you in these rooms.
Absolutely.
And just, you know what I'm saying, and wear you out to where you like, man, you know what? I'm sick of this whole.
Just let me out this motherfucker.
Yeah. Like, give me something to eat, something like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so that's the whole thing. So yeah, intimidation is one of the main reasons why they threw this out, because they was like, yo, y'all could have did and said anything to this man. So yeah, so that whole thing going down that way, it definitely, I mean, this has to be, if you're talking about courtroom dramas, this has to be one of the, you know what I'm saying, when it comes to plot twists. You know what I'm saying? Now, we knew it because we watching the movie, but like, as far as like, Willie had no idea this shit was coming.
Nobody in the courtroom knew except for them two.
Yeah, so like, and then like he was so, Nunnally was so out of it when he went to the house and actually, he saw the feet first and he looks up and he sees the picture and he's like, oh shit, this is to him something Smith. I forget what she told him. But like, that's the point that I was trying to make earlier when I kept cutting out, was the whole fact of I think he knew that she was married, but just didn't know that he was the guy that she was married to.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he saw that picture on the wall, he just freaked out. And that's when, he had the opportunities to switch the guns out,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just oblivious to it because he saw the woman that he loved laying on the floor bleeding out.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So he had no idea that he switched the guns. But man, that was so genius. That's so genius to plot that out that way. But I do think Ted's biggest thing was there is a such thing as like when you try to be the smartest person in the room, you overthink yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that he thought himself. And then also a guy with the integrity that Willie had and the ego that he had, the will to win like he had, to taunt him the way that he was taunting him.
Mm-hmm.
Nah, Willie wasn't having it. Willie wasn't having it because those 3 times that he taunted him, that was some bullshit.
Yeah,
that was some bullshit. Like I think, cause y'all, let me tell y'all something. I thought you had cut out. I was talking like a mug. So, but like, yeah, like the whole 3 times that he taunted him, like the first time when they went into the chambers or whatever with the judge, and he was like, he said, I had a conversation, like basically like I was talking to my dick, and then everybody looking at him like, he was like, oh, that's the name of my private investigator. His name is Dick. My dick is good. And then he's like, so then he says like the evidence that he got or whatever. And so then it was like the first time. And then the second time he called Willie at Ted's office, at his own office. Like he knew he was there. And then he's like, yo, if you need anything, my assistant can get you whatever you need, to help you out and all this type shit. And he was in jail at the time. And then the third time that he was taunting him was when he got off and he called him when he was sitting there with the other cop.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm about to go on this trip. He's like, unfortunately, she's not going to be able to go, because she's dead or whatever, whatnot. Mm-hmm. And it was just, he tried to outthink the room too much. And you brought up a good point with Nunnally killing himself. That really was the whole monkey wrench that fucked this whole shit up.
Yep.
Because if he never would have did that, that gun would have stayed active, man. Absolutely. And I just think that this movie I think it was brilliantly wrote.
Okay. I think we lost SDOT again. But that's okay, man. We are coming up on the tail end of this pod anyway. So for right now, what we are going to do is we are going to get into the fire flames.
Yoga fire, yoga flame.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and take this one, man. I'm giving this thing a 4.5. Great writing, great plot twist, great cast. Everything about this was, just amazing. The back and forth, the banter, you know what I'm saying, the dialogue, the action in it, all of this. Everything about this movie was great. Anthony Hopkins, legend. You got to give him his credit. So yeah, I'm giving this a 4.5.
All right, I'm giving it a 4.5. Also, I'm saying on the same page with you. I think the writing was phenomenal. The acting was phenomenal. The plot twist was great. I think everything about this movie is really good, and I hate that it don't get the recognition that it deserves.
Absolutely. All right, man. So let's get into the coming soon.
Let's do it.
Soon to own on video and DVD.
All right, so the next episode that we got is The Place Beyond the Pines.
Yes.
Yeah. So what
this
is
that
dope?
About? So this is basically a Ryan Gosling double feature. Didn't know it was gonna happen this way, but basically, he was like Ryan Gosling, like he robbed this bank or whatever, and he had a child, and the officer that actually shot and killed him, because this movie goes from two different time periods.
Okay.
And it has like the officer was Bradley Cooper. So and Ryan Gosling baby moms is Eva Mendes.
Of course.
And so Ryan Gosling robs the bank. The officer that killed him is Bradley Cooper. And so then, but he had a baby with
Eva Mendes.
Eva Mendes. So it goes to where the boy's in high school.
Mhm.
And now Bradley Cooper is like he's in politics now, and both of their kids go to school together and become friends, and then he finds out that his dad killed his dad.
Oh, okay.
So it's like one of those type movies. So it had a buzz at that time, but I think people now forgot about this movie, man. It's a pretty dope movie, and I like the two timelines that they had going along with the movie.
Okay. I don't know about this one, man. I'm gonna have to watch this one for real, because this seemed like one of them cheesy buddy movies. Like, yeah, but your dad killed my dad. Well, fuck it, we're not friends anymore. And then next thing you know, they're friends again.
Nah, it does not go that way.
Okay, cool.
It does not go that way at all.
All right.
I didn't want to give it away. I didn't want to give it
Don't
away.
don't do that. I still gotta
No.
check it out. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All right, man. So y'all heard it here first, man. The Place Beyond the Pines is the next movie that we're covering. Y'all get ready. If you enjoyed this episode, if you didn't enjoy this episode, if you too have set somebody up like Ted did, don't tell us. Just, you know what I'm saying, send us the eye emoji on Instagram and X at View9Pod, on Facebook VA Pod Watch Group. You could also hit us up on X with the community that we have, Viewers Anonymous, where we talk about movies and television all day. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to our podcast. It's only $2.99 a month. If you're already following, that's great, but we definitely need your support. And if you really mess with this podcast, then put a couple dollars behind it and help us grow even more. Help us get a little bit further than where we already are. That would definitely be helpful for sure. And if you'd like to follow me personally, hit me up on X at Scoots Bronson. I got a link to in my bio. You can find me everywhere else there.
And y'all can find me at s.foster8 on Instagram and X at 28 minutes or less pod. That's just on IG. Follow the podcast on all major platforms, 28 minutes or less. Last episode is still History of Horror Part 2. I'm working on some things when it comes to that pod, so new episodes should be coming soon.
That's what's up, man. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for watching. Your support is always greatly appreciated, and please don't forget, subscribe. We have paid episodes that you can go back and listen to, so make sure you get that extra content. And until the next episode, like they say in Hollywood, that's a wrap.
Cut.